Morning, everyone. Um, I am personally actually quite honored to be here moderating such an interesting, you know, set of questions and answers, and meeting so many different minds, basically, behind those questions and answers. Most of you I have met and we have interacted before, but it's always nice to get different perspectives when we're talking about such a different set of questions. And with me, we have four very different minds, um, some of a different era or time frame, and in different, like say, way of activity. Though we have three architects, Sangeeta is actually a designer and also an entrepreneur, a businesswoman in her own right. So she will be bringing a very different perspective to the conversation. I would also like to thank the panels and the moderators before me, because they have also given me some insight how I can ask these questions. So thank you, Rajshri and George. Um, I would like to introduce all our four panelists. Sangeeta, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sangeeta, and my firm's name is Avantika Interiors. And our firm is into interiors and turnkey contracts, which is almost 27 years old. So as Chitra said, my perspective will be completely different from the material. Like ma'am was talking about the very earthy material. I want to just finish it fast because my range of products and interiors is something where we have to finish fast. So my perspective will be different from the architecture perspective. So I think it's fine with.
Thank you, Sangeeta. That's exactly what we want to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over to Jinoj.
Hi, my name is Jinoj. I am a professor at College of Engineering Trivandrum, Architecture Department. And I'm also associating with the architecture called Ishtika Design Studios. Before that, I had my own practice, like alone. So Ishtika Design Studios is a partnership kind of a practice with architect Joseph. Before that, I've worked in a couple of architecture firms also in Trivandrum. I started out with Chandramohan Associates, and then I worked with Shivu Abusari also. And then for a brief period of time, I also worked with Cosford. And I've been teaching since 2011.
Thank you, Jinoj. Over to you, Anuja.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am Anuja. I am a landscape architect. I run a studio called Studio Muttam. So Muttam is where I have my earliest memories of good connection with nature, be it the butterflies come in the front yard gardens, or be it when I stand in my father's front yard, the paddy fields you see, or the coconut plantations you see. So I thought I'll create memories by designing surroundings or front yard and backyard gardens for others. So, yeah.
Anuja also has an architecture practice along with her husband, Vishak, called N Design Lab. Am I right? Yeah. So she would also have a perspective of both the Muttam as well as the lab. So over to you, Abhay.
Hi, my name is Abhay. I am from Trivandrum, did my architecture in College of Engineering CET. I come from a background of furniture carpenters, generations of furniture carpenters from Kottayam. Got probably might be the first trained architect from the family, and then I went on. After a stint here, I went abroad, I worked there, came back. I ran a restaurant for a couple of years. I don't know, a few things aside from architecture. I am also a co-owner of a professional football club now. I'm also part of a trustee of an autism school for free, which is free education for autistic kids. So that's basically a few things more, but I think that will be good enough start for discussion. Thank you, Chitra, for the moderation.
Thank you. Now coming to myself, I'm architect Chitra. I have a practice along with architect Jayakrishan. I've been practicing for about 30 odd years now. And my subject given to me by Design Unfiltered is going to be money, something that none of us really can do without. So basically, as we all know, money can give rise to many questions, many thoughts. What we think of money and how we see money at different ages in our lives. I personally have seen money from a time when I never thought of it, because I was always provided for. At the time when I got into college, I had lost my father, and it was very important for me that every penny of my mother I should save. So I preferred to use the gateway sheets or the butter sheets that college provided me. I did not buy them. And I got into trouble because of that, because my other classmates would have spent money buying the best sheets and making very good presentations. Of course, we lived in an era where there was no computers. So we were drawing. We were always drawing. So, I mean, from that time to a time now, we have gone through many phases of understanding what money means. So, I'm not going to be talking. I will probably do the conclusion part. And I will start with Abhay, whom I prefer to call an architect, a practicing architect, and a social entrepreneur, because that kind of adds up to all the things that he has ventured into. So, the first question, Abhay, that I'd like to ask you is, how has the perception of money changed for you when you joined college? Then, as you have gone through different phases of your life to where you are now, I'm just going to give you 2 minutes or maximum 3, because we have quite a few answering to do. So I hope you are going to do a good job at it.
The moderators batch were the final years when I joined. I still remember the lobby where they were introducing us to architecture. The students were coming with parents and they were asking what will happen in architecture. I said, so they were saying this is the toughest course, the longest course, the most expensive course. Okay, so what after that? And once you get your graduation, what will happen? Initial years you won't get a job, then you start getting job, but you won't get paid. And then after a few years, you'll be fine. So after a few years, what will be fine? After a few years, you will be, you will get used to that aspect. So that's I still remember the CET lobby and the desk, and I don't know who was it, but I think that was the initiation. The perception of money has not changed from then to here, because I think it always meant to have enough to do what you want and what you love, and in an ethical way, and from architecture. So this has been the cornerstone of how I viewed money as. I've seen, big money being transacted across tables, over and below. But I took 10,000 rupees from my father, I still remember, for the first rental of my office. And I started. So it is about meeting expenditures. And that's it. contentment about what you have, and not to live for generations who will come and to make more and more. So that is so the idea of money as a means to do what you love and what you would like to do the most. I have my wife sitting here, so I should be very careful about my talk, because she's going to grill me with anything inconsistent if I am trying to say here. Okay, so that's it. Very simple. The money, the concept, it does not at all change. If I look back, I was actually, when Komal told me that I volunteered for material, she said, no, it is already full, so can you join money? I said, fine. Yeah, and I was wondering, so someone who had lost millions in ventures, dabbing into things which you don't know, which you are just passionate and you think that. So I'd done all those things, like getting a city to run. I started a runners club. I lost so much money, time, and professional time. So I'll be more of a person qualified to talk about how to do things and lose money. But it's very clear. My first mentor told me, you have to be very ethical about your money. Money will come to you very easily, but it is actually to say no, that's the key part. So that's it. I think my 2 minutes should be over by now.
Thank you so much, Abhay. I would like to ask Anuja next, because again, there's a kind of a generational gap, I guess. Yeah.
For me, when I was a student, being architecture an expensive course, that you have that image, right? That architecture is an expensive course. So how much ever you ask for, you get it. I asked my parents, okay, this is over. So that money is over, you get more. So then even today, I don't know how much I've spent every month. I really don't have account of that. And later in my early stages of practice, when I started getting money, it was all about excitement. You spent money, you're spending money for this, maybe buying different shades of, maybe 100 shades of alcohol markers and keeping it with me. So likewise, it is always about how you can spend it. So I was a person, if you get 10 rupees, you would spend 20. So, but later in my practice, where I stand now, what I realize is I should spend money on maybe upgrading your systems in the office. So you can spend money to maybe get good systems so that you can expand your practice. Maybe you should create a better space. Your office, you can maybe upgrade your office so that you can bring in more people, or maybe you have a better aesthetical place where you can bring in your client. So then that perspective of how you use money has definitely been changed, and I believe it is going to change further as well.
Thank you. Jinoj?
I think this question about what is the perspective about money is very personal, and it's very contextual also. It all depends on how you have been raised, and of course the perspective about money would change with life and experience. For me personally, the perception was always, maybe it is because of the way I've been brought up and educated. Because I remember, like Abhay was talking about our teachers telling us that an architect's life actually begins at some would say 30, some would say 40, some would say 50. So I always had this perception that a phase of life where money doesn't matter, like money will come easily to me, is still out there somewhere, right? So I have been searching for that age, but now I realize that it might not exist. It's still out there somewhere. So that is the perception. One thing happened while we were studying. I did my UG course from 2001 to 6. So during our time was the time when computer become a norm, and we all started working in AutoCAD and all those things. So once we were in the final year, this 3D rendering, these kind of things started coming up. So we had an opportunity to learn somehow. It was 3D Max at those times, to make renderings and make money out of it. Like we used to do this for practicing architects, so we could get pocket money and we could use that. So I think after third year I have not got much money from my home, because I was making money, even though it was very small, meager, but at that point of time it was enough for me. And I would like to also contest this idea that architecture course was an expensive one, because for me it was not. Because we studied in a government college, CET, the fee was meager, and as ma'am was saying, we were provided with everything, like from butter sheets, all the kind of sheets. Even if we actually asked for it, we would also get other things also, like pencils, pens, rotring pens, ink, forex boards for making models. All these things were there. So for me, I have not had this perception that architecture course was an expensive one. Maybe it is my own experience. But yeah, this is my perspective that money coming easily to our life is still somewhere there. I'm in search of that.
Actually, that's what makes our practice interesting, because especially when you look at it from the perspective of students who want to pursue the profession, whether it is design or whether it is architecture, they have to understand that if they are really keen on the profession, I think they can join the government college. So they can also join an expensive college. So it's basically something which I feel that every young person who wants to pursue the profession has the opportunity. Actually, we live in a time where we have the opportunity. It's only basically how you persevere to achieve that is probably left to the student to decide. So now, for your perspective on this, Sangeeta, because you also have a daughter now who's pursuing architecture.
Yes. So basically, I completely agree with Chitra and Anuja about, see, for daughters, generally it is like till they finish their education, it's like always money is guaranteed. Like whatever you need, it is provided. So you never ever thought about money as a concept when you are in college. That is what my experience is. And actually, even after marriage, once we decided that, okay, we are going to start something, the first thing I did was I went to my father and I said, Acha, kursi paisa no. So he was like, oh, really? He was just getting up to give me the money, thinking that it's just for shopping. I said, Allah, then he said, oh, then he realized that it's a big game. So anyway, so once you get into a serious thought about business or anything, I have seen that the younger generation, they are very money-minded in a positive way, not in a negative way. I feel that, see, we never had anything extra to spend other than what we were supposed to when we were studying. Like not even, we couldn't even do singing. So there is no extra charges. Like whatever is provided in the hostel, we are having it and we are happy about it. So money was enough for us then. But now there are so many aspects of life wherein they can utilize money. So the younger generation, they are trying to find options to get some other way of getting money other than from their parents, which is in a sense good.
That's good.
So that aspect of thinking about money in a younger generation is to certain extent good. That is my point of view. Because till they earn their own money, even in our case, we never had even thought about saving money. Because money is just coming in. As and when it is required, it is provided. But once you start to earn money, you will know about the value of that one extra rupee. Then and I have seen children who are there in my organization, like they are saving it and they are investing it, which is so good. So they are money minded, which is good. That is what my feeling.
Thank you, Sangeeta. I mean, we have now probably got a perspective of how, our in different times and in different kind of situations, how the perspective on money has kind of changed. And now coming to my second question is basically linked to the same thing, but on the issues that you would have encountered as you started your practice. In terms of course, money and anything related to.
Yeah, I started practicing, like Jinoj said, it was the third year of my architecture. I had started practicing doing manual perspectives. By the final year, 3D Max came. Jurassic Park was made in it. Me and a friend, we used to go from Trivandrum to Calicut. Competition for senior architects. Same competition, multiple architects we used to do. So, making money, yes.
Yes.
Then, when I started my career, I decided that I'll never do a piece job for another architect. That was one decision which I took. And then, those times, 90s, it was not from the professional practice class and the IAA and the Council of Architecture schedule of fees, you feel that, okay, yes, this is the very good numbers you are going to enter, and then you realize that the nowhere near those numbers in practice. But one thing which I decided then was that I'll never take up a job if I was not going to be paid in advance as an architect. I made it very clear that after my first interaction with the client, I'll tell him that this is going to be my fees and this is my advance, and if he doesn't turn up after that, I never took that. That also meant that I'll do free work, but if I'm commissioned, I'll take a advance. Then what I feel, I don't know whether I'll be answering this, is it's all about how we are not, as professionals, taught the real business of architecture or the business of money, or this is what I feel was the problem, because nowhere in any of the professional courses you have actual teaching about how to manage an office, as simple as that, what is bookkeeping, because a lot of this profession, they start as an expert in that profession, and then you get into something called accounting, taxations, savings, investments, absolutely, and you don't have any working knowledge or, even in the curriculum. I'm talking about basics. So, other than people who come from such backgrounds where they are told and taught and from parents or from, others who are near to them, what I see is that entrepreneurs, technocrats, they get into it, try their own practice, and they get into difficult times because they don't know how to manage money and they have big failures. So the initial phase, that is the phase where, because a small town, we have towering personalities with the big works. Trivandrum, you have, then Cochin, then Calicut. It was very segmented that, okay. So it was like, having Mammootty and Mohanlal there. And I think their batch with JK and, Sudhir and all, they were cracking into that thing. That small, it's a small, small place, small pie. So I left here as the mandatory Mallu, went abroad, thinking that, okay, I had a clear idea that I'll work for some time abroad. The two things I can learn. One is to see how work happens outside and make some money and come back. Yes, both happened because I was lucky to work in a very professional environment in Dubai, where at that time it was actually going very high. Like it was like from the a day to the next day, it was like, what can you do? Bigger, better, smarter, technology-wise, material-wise, quicker. Architecture and anything related to architecture was having a very big high at those times, and it was a very professional way. And I think one of the luckiest thing I had was that I could work with many entrepreneurs and people who understood the mechanics of money. I think money is related to numbers. So if I ask you, like, my father gave me a bike in 1990 for 20,000 rupees, which was worth 20,000 rupees. I gave my daughter, who's studying architecture final year, a car worth 7 lakhs to college. Who did better, right? Me or my father? Can anyone volunteer from the audience?
That heat.
To a layman, me providing my daughter a 7 lakh car now might sound better. 20,000 rupees in gold would have fetched how much? 12 lakhs rupees now. 20,000 rupees of MRF shares bought in 1990 would have been 48 lakhs. So money, the mechanics of money is something which it is related to numbers. This is not like, there is no, I'm not talking fiction here. The 20,000 was there then, gold was there, MRF was there, everything was there. So it was not that the money was not there. So it's about your understanding about how you make money, how you grow it, how you hold it, how you grow it. Sure. That's it for now.
Hi. Anuja, about you.
So if I speak about issues that I have faced in early stages, I started my practice without working in any other office. So like one fine day, like at that time, Vishak was my friend and he was practicing, and now my husband. So then he said, you should start your practice. So then I had no confidence at that time. But then since he supported, I thought I'll start. But at that point of time, I don't have a portfolio. I don't have anything to show. I only have a thesis portfolio, which I have done. And also, since I did my master's, I have that portfolio also. But that was a research thesis. So then, you having no portfolio or no works to show, I really had to convince whoever coming to me with an inquiry that I am capable of doing things. So I had to spend a lot of time. I have to put in effort without any payment to convince them I am capable of doing it. So then that is how it worked initially. And also, I started my practice in Trivandrum, and I have no other connection than that I studied in CET Trivandrum. I have no other connection in the city. So then in the early stages, not getting any conversion is okay. But then you are not getting any inquiries. You have no other network. You only know architects in Trivandrum. You're not going to get projects through architects. Maybe as a landscape architect, later stages I started getting, but new projects would only come through, mainly through others. So then that was another issue I was facing. No money, no projects in the early stages. And also as a landscape architect, when you try to convince a client, I had no examples in Trivandrum where I can maybe send them and tell them, okay, you go to this place and see. This is how a good designed landscape can work, or like this is the ambience that a designed landscape could provide. At that time, yeah, maybe Taj or Villa Maya was there, but it wasn't affordable to everyone. But then in the later stage, when Long Time and Baker's Arch came, the things were changed. So people have started coming to me asking for landscape design services. So convincing people that the importance of designed landscape was a big task, and asking for a decent amount was also a task, which is getting better now.
So, how did you deal with that? I mean, what did you fall back on?
Basically, in the initial stages, what I tried to, like, I realized that some of the projects are not coming to me because the amount that I quoted, they are not willing to pay for our service. They are ready to pay for goods, they are ready to pay for construction, but they are not willing to pay for my service. So then the initial stages, what I tried to do was I put in my service charges into the total construction amount, and then I gave it to them. So then if for example my charges are 1 lakh, it is 1 lakh, I may be giving a 4 lakh thing for the entire project. So then I can take that money from. But I think it wasn't, I did not get what I was deserved to get. But later, once you have that one project, your good project to showcase, this thing will change. Once you have that one project, you can showcase all the things, all the good things that you've done in your design, that immediately changes. So now I am confident to ask, or I am confident to tell whoever comes to me that I have a design charge. I will charge it. It is mandatory.
Great. Also, one more thing which I'd like to ask is, why is it that you didn't want to, or probably try out practicing with a landscape architect when you passed out?
I think it is because I was really confident that I'll be able to pull out things, because if you are logical and smart enough, you can learn it yourself. Is it the way for us?
What is that supposed to be? Oh, I haven't even come close to it.
So I forgot what I was.
Yeah, so you were saying that, about your, yeah.
Yeah, I was confident, and I tried, I did two projects in the beginning stage. I tried finding out good skilled workers who could collect plants for me, who could bring in materials. And I actually tried and tested, and now I am much more confident to do better. So basically it's confidence.
Yeah, so that's probably one word you can take out, when talking about money, is confidence. Confidence to earn it, and confidence to keep it, and confidence to ask for it, I guess. So, yeah, Jinoj.
When I started my own practice back in 2009, and as Abhay was telling, asking clients to give a advance before even starting the work, I think I don't know if we had that luxury back then, because as you were saying, Trivandrum was a very small town, and people were not aware of this, even this idea of hiring an architect for a project. They were looking at us, someone who could draw something, it's kind of a drafting job kind of thing. And the biggest challenge that we who started practicing at those times were from the already practicing architects here. Because when we were quoting something like the minimum charges or something like that, clients would tell us that there are practicing architects who quote much less than this. So why should I come to you, a beginner, for this thing? So that was a big challenge for us to convince them that, the way we involve in an architectural project is something, and it was very difficult for us to convince them that, we can put in more hours and effort in your project and come up with something that you need. So that was very difficult but I think over the years, the understanding of what an architect do and what architecture does to a project has increased among the people, and that has helped a lot with the practices right now coming up. But back then it was very difficult for us to convince the clients that this is not something which can be cooked overnight and give to you the next day. They finally see only 1 or 2 sheets of drawing and say that to do this, how much time do you need and how much money do you need? That was the kind of understanding that they had about the practice, the profession. So that was the biggest challenge that we had back then.
Actually, that was a challenge even when we started. I mean, that challenge still remains. That is, now you have computers, so I mean, it takes only 1 minute to take a printout. So what is the big problem? So the issue of value of design is something that I think will continue, because until and unless the public, general public, who is so much into all kinds of magazines, glitzy and other ways, they actually are, in a sense, not understanding the difficulty of actually going into the process of design or creating an original, what should I say, a solution for a particular client or a particular site. So I mean, until and unless probably we have more conversations like this and it comes across to students or young people or probably, the general public, we will still be having these issues, I think. So definitely I feel, what Jinoj is saying is a very, very important point, is that at any age, when a young practitioner is going to start this practice or her practice, they look up to their seniors, and they would definitely want to see their seniors going through an ethical practice and a methodology of design and practice to emulate. So it is very important, I feel, to actually bring out that point. Thank you so much. Sangeeta, you have a totally different take, I guess, about making money as a young entrepreneur.
Yes. No, such a long chain, I forgot the points what I was supposed to say. Now, about money, if you say, like for us also, it was like a gradual transition in our business. So it was not like architecture, when you get into architects getting into architecture as a whatever profession, it's the same. Like for us, it was not like that. We started with few products, then the product, the installation, then it came to the design. So it was a slow process wherein we got into the design and the turnkey projects. And the ball game is totally different, even in the commercial interiors, wherein there is no emotions. It's very transactional. When you're building a house, it is so much of emotion. The person who is giving you a job, he's giving you like his part of life, wherein you have to design, where they have to spend their whole life. So that is a totally different thing from what we are doing. So money is never enough. It is always dil mange more. Like each stage, wherever you reach, like when we started, whatever the amount we required was different. Then slowly it went to a next level. Then also the whatever amount is required is different. Even now it is different. And I really hope and wish that it goes beyond. Like once your organization starts growing, naturally the amount of money which is required to run it and take it further is different, and it will be higher, and it should be higher. And coming to the money making process, in architecture, I'm not sure like how, like she said that you incorporated it in the product. That is one way of handling, like if the client is not willing to pay. So that is something which we have seen in India generally. People are very reluctant to pay for design. Whichever is not physical, it is very difficult to charge. Even for an artist, charging a fees is like, it all depends upon the client who is coming in. Like some who appreciate the art, they may be willing to pay more, but the guy who is just, I want a piece there in my living room, he can just ask you to give it 1/4 of whatever you thought in your mind. So in design and in art, that is a very, unfortunately, that's a very sad point, that charging the client is not in our hand. But there are certain clients who are actually willing to do that also. Like once you tell them that this is my charge, they are willing to do that. So this is it. I feel that whatever said and done, money is part of your life and it has to be earned, and there is nothing negative about it. To the kids who are coming to architecture, and you can definitely earn it through whatever practices, and each stage will be different. You enjoy the journey. That's it.
Sangeeta. Sangeeta, one question which I actually wanted you to answer is, what were the issues that you faced when you started off your journey as a designer and as an entrepreneur? Because, like Abhay was saying, it's not easy for a person to understand taxations and how to actually bookkeeping and stuff like that. How did you deal with it when you started off?
See, that's a very good question, and the way I can answer is, you get married to a person who knows. That's a very easy way to do it. Who knows about finance and who is good at numbers. So fortunately, it was the thing with my life, but need not be the same for everyone. And I would always recommend the younger architects who are they are going for the profession. It is always good that you have a partner from the industry, from the same profession. It has its own negative, which Chitra will vouch for it, but positives are more, because you as a team can build the entire design organization. And challenges, definitely yes. When Anuja was talking about being an architect and finding it difficult to convince the clients to charge, can you imagine my plight? Wherein I don't have any background of architecture. But what I have found is, like, if you give good service to the client and try to understand their pain points and work towards that, first client will recommend you for the second one. And it is always the chain reaction which leads you to a good practice.
Thank you. Actually, that brings me to a certain point where I think it was Jay Krishnan who was saying how important collaborations are. Because, like you said, probably collaborations help in that case.
Definitely, yes.
When you have different perspectives, maybe not just perspectives, actually different capabilities within your practice, it kind of, helps you improve your practice, or probably even see different perspectives to be able to give better service to your clients, or but what do you think as a woman in the industry, how difficult was it for you to learn that?
To collaborate with others.
No, to actually learn the actually to grasp your business and your design profession.
Yeah. So basically, because it was a very slow progress, because I did not jump into it, it was my decision to get into it. I enjoyed it. Because I enjoyed it, I put in more effort, more time. Like, I think during his session, he was saying that children, if they are interested, they should put in more time. So if that happens, like if you are keen, if you are interested, naturally you will put in more time, because it's never a job for you. And that is how it was like for me. I really enjoyed doing it. It was never a work for me. And that is how I went step by step.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Coming to our next question is basically how you would want how would you want to actually discuss money with your client, and how do you actually manage the point of the process of the project? Because at every stage in your project, what happens generally is in the beginning of the project, there's a lot of enthusiasm in terms of what all you need in terms of whether it is material or whether it is design. But the fact is that as the process goes on to almost towards the end, as the money starts trickling down, the compromises start. So Abhay, you might be able to put in just maybe we don't have time and Komal's looking at me, so I'll let you pass that.
I don't know whether I should talk about that, or you asked me a question yesterday if I have a choice, that you said you want to talk about the students, and because that was what do you talk to the students about the money, and because this is again it's a big whether it's a consultant, whether it's a designer and build, a lot of thing into that. But I like to, just because it's a student, I think Komal is impatiently waiting to felicitate us and get us off the dais. So let me, this question is actually from Chitra last night when she called me about how do we address it to the students, because we thought it is students. So on camera, I'll tell students that you will never become rich by yourself as a service person, because all you are selling is your time. So it is very difficult for you to make enough money because your time is very limited. You have only a few hours a day and a few years, and then you go through all the curves. So if you are actually selling yourself as a consultant, as an artist, as an actor, so I wonder, one of the very young actor of Malayalam movies, I give a clue without giving a name. So he was in a scam recently. He was in a very, that escape, what kind of movie? Survival movie and all. Okay, so that's it. So now I saw him buy a big car, a very expensive car. So I was just trying to take a quick survey about how many movies he did, because his movies are all there in the public domain, right? And we know what is the market cap of this actor. So I put a simple table myself and say, this guy could have earned only this much. So how is it possible? So that is where I want to, this I am telling you only because this can be easily understood. A newcomer suddenly buying visible wealth, this because they invest. So the concept of investing, I think traditionally Keralites, or like we are told about saving. So if you save, that is great. Then have gold or chitti, KSFE, that lot of. So we as a community, we are not trained to invest. Can I ask you how many of you have fixed deposit here? I am not asking you the value, fixed deposit. Can I have a hand raised on fixed? How many have fixed deposits?
Hand,
Hand, yeah. Hand, right? Okay. So, Arati, you have, yeah, which bank?
Doesn't.
Indocent. Okay. You got 4%. 6. Okay. You know that the bank makes a CAG annual growth rate of 15 to 20%. Did you ever think about buying the shares of Indocent? No. Correct. So this is about mindset. So unless and until you park your money and make someone else also work on your whatever money side by side, as a consultant, you will never make what we call wealth. So money to wealth is something which I would like the youngsters to, I think they are more, they since the explosion of social media, the information, the availability of information, I think youngsters, yes, they are into more of, there is a big hole in that, but there's a danger also there. But I think they have more information, they are more into investment. But as consultants and people who are really getting young into consultancy, unless you do have other means, your money working beside you in various things, it can be, you can bootstrap, you can help someone, a startup, a friend who is starting something, you can give whatever you have and see whether it also, so you can do your core competency and then the money grows. Then it's all about how you brand yourself, how you charge for your self-worth. That's what I said. I remember I never took up a job. It was very painful, but I never took up a job unless it is just about my respect that as a designer, I should be respected. Otherwise, I am not going to take up that job. Somehow it worked for me. I think it was not about an arrogance. There was lot of loss because people never come back when they hear that, okay, this advance thing and the payment part and all. Recently, last week, I asked someone, you will not go to Powerhouse and buy 50 lakh worth of spare parts and make a car. Will you do that? I said, no. Then why are you thinking that you'll make your house by yourself? You need a designer, you need a contractor, you need a project manager, whatever it is. So it's a challenge to overcome our professional issues, but wealth making, money making, I think that's a different ballgame. It's a mindset. It's about numbers and how you use your opportunities. Luck is a very small part of it, but the other part is where you really make it.
Thank you, Abhay. That was a very important point. I think most professionals of today probably know that, but youngsters probably should be knowing that. And that kind of actually, the earlier question as to how do you manage, when I ask Anuja that, it is very important to know that when you are comfortable with a certain amount of wealth in your bank, or you feel that you can afford to ask this person without any hesitation as to this is my charges. So to be having another set of income possibilities is something I think youngsters actually should be pursuing. In that case, I'm not sure how many youngsters actually understand that, but I do know that from my own experience, I learn a lot from my son, because I have seen him watching all these kind of things on TV and on YouTube, and he explains many things to me. But the fact that I'm not sure, but I feel that men kind of, oscillate towards that more than women do. And I feel that that is something which I feel women as such, whether they are young girls or professionals, they should start understanding and probably be able to capitulate on that. It's very important. Anuja, do you have anything to say on it?
I would say, along with investing money, you should also have a mind to spend money. You spend it, you have a better experience. For example, maybe I'm more of a materialistic person. I find happiness in that also. Maybe a slightly contradictory thing, being a landscape architect. I would like to go and spend time in a 5-star or 7-star hotel. Once you get that experience, you wouldn't come down. So you make money, you spend it, then again you work harder to achieve more. So that is what I believe, and that could be a good thing to do also.
Great. Actually, that's a wonderful point because I know youngsters nowadays spend a lot of money on travel because travel also is something that gives you perspective. It gives you experience and that helps you become a better designer or an architect or anything that you're probably planning to do in future. Jinoj?
Yeah, since we are addressing the students right now, I think we architects are basically technicians. So there is an innate problem when we as technicians try to run a business because we are not business people. Even though our course is called as professional course, we are never taught how to become a professional, and I think it is very difficult also in our curriculum to put something, to create that kind of orientation and equip students to become a business person. If a technician like a architect student is willing or he or she wants to start a practice, I think first thing they have to do is to design the practice. Because how to do architecture, how to work as a professional or work as an architect, what will be our way of understanding a client and doing the stuff is, as we all discussed here tonight, can be learned. But to run a practice is a completely different ballgame. So first we need to understand how we are what kind of an architect I am gonna become. We can practice architecture in different ways. So if you are looking at a very money making business, if we are looking at something like that, then you have to design the practice in such a way that the system itself will be run in that way, and the system will make sure that the money comes in. Not like I am a good architect so I'll get money. It will not work. That's what I think.
Yes, Sangeeta, your take on that.
Should we, because she looks very bored, and should we continue or we just, that's fine? Okay.
So what was the test? Can you just see?
Oh,
Good.
no, the question was very simple as to how do you negotiate money and make money, basically, because you are in the business. So, I mean, for us, probably as professionals, we have different challenges. But how does that work out for you?
How do I convince a client about the fee? Is that?
Yeah, that as well as how you work with it. How do you work with the money? How do you actually go on from making that money?
Again, I am totally different from whatever your challenges are.
And that's what makes it more interesting.
Yeah. So for us, it's like always the competition is very, very, very negatively competitive world where each and everything is being comes down to even a penny. Like you have to be L1 if it's a contract. And for that, I've seen that generally here I've not seen that much, but when the contracting firm is from outside Kerala, I've seen that they go cutthroat and it's not the same rate what we get it here. For the same same material, for example, if it's a plywood, what we get here and what they get it in Delhi is completely different. So the challenge is when you quote for a contract, your rates are compared with the person who is negotiating with Delhi and getting a better rate. So there is nothing you can do about it because it's finally L1. That's so, especially in a government project. If it's a private project, then it comes down to your design, the way you execute it. For us, for our industry, it is more like time is money. So whenever a client, and the time gap which you get is around 48 to 50 days in some cases to complete a project, and 90 days max. Before that, you just need to finish. Once the order is given, 90 days, you finish the contract and you have to be out. Because for them also, it's like daily they are counting on money. If I am not having my office tomorrow, my expense is this much. So time is money is that concept in it. But at home, I think that sector, that is not the case. So in contracts, that is one negative thing what we have seen is we are pushed for being L1, which actually sometimes lead to a poor quality in work. And even for the time factor, when you push for a very, very small time frame in completion, naturally it will affect in the whatever quality of work you see. So we also want to use, now sustainability is a very, very in thing, and all the clients, they also want to be part of it, but then they are not ready to give us time. So if you want to do a paneling with the wood, naturally the time taken to cut it into slab and then doing the paneling, naturally it will take more time than getting something like this, which is actually artificial material. You have ready to stick stuff, which you just bring it and do the paneling and it's done. So it is actually it is the community who has to think about all the sustainability, how you use the quality products. But for home, it is more, I think.
You mean for a residential project?
Yeah, if it's a residential project, I think people are more okay with it. But for commercial, it is not, which is understandably so, because they don't have time and they don't intend to be there in that space for more than 5 years. So whatever they're spending it for a very short time. So 5 years within, maybe before that, if their company grows, maybe 2-3 years, they will take the entire space. Now I think you should stop.
Yes, I'm not going to ask my fourth question, but I think we have kind of covered most of the topics that I had actually intended to ask. And in conclusion, I would just like to say that it was a very interesting discussion actually with the four of you, and I'm so happy that you all four have been able to communicate what I had kind of intended to ask. And yes, thank you, Design Unfiltered, right now represented by Komal and Sandeep. Thank you so much for having us here, and thank you audience for the patience of staying through all your hunger.